Guys, so all of your queries are over. So let's start with the workshop by Nikhil Guru Venkatesh, nine-time hackathon winner. Let's hear it from him.
Hey guys, I hope you all can hear me. Am I audible?
Yes, Nikhil, you're audible.
Awesome, great guys. So, good evening, everyone. So glad to see all of you here today. And welcome to Hack the Vibe. We're going to be having quite a bit of fun this weekend from what I've heard from the organizers. Kavi had actually given me a very elaborate, we had a very elaborate discussion about what was in store for all of you this weekend. And I'm very excited to see so many of you participating. So today I'm just going to be walking you guys through how a hackathon actually works, what you guys should be prioritizing. I didn't come up with a PPT or a presentation. I'm not going to be boring you guys with all of those things. This is going to be an AMA. Ask me anything. I'll be opening up the floor, and you guys can go ahead and ask any questions that you might have regarding the hackathon, how to build products, how to find good ideas, and how to execute them to perfection. Right. So. A little intro about myself. I'm currently working as an AI strategy architect at a company called Techolution. It's an MNC that's based out of New York City. And I recently just graduated from computer science engineering. I'm a BTech grad. I have, for the last 2 years, I've participated in over 50 hackathons in my tenure. I've won 9 of them. One of them was last year's edition of SIH that was hosted by the Ministry of Education. I have also done a short research internship with the University of South Carolina, where I was an AI researcher. And what else? What else can I tell you? Yeah, I mean, I've been in the AI and ML field for the last 3 years almost. My experience is mostly in AI and ML. So if you guys have any questions regarding that, it would be great. I'd be more than happy to help you guys as well. So I'm going to give you a few primer. I'm going to give you guys a quick primer about how exactly hackathons work, what you guys should be focusing on. Not, I won't take more than 5 to 10 minutes of your time. And then after that, I'll open the floor and you guys can go ahead and ask me whatever you guys want. Okay. So first of all, hackathons, especially this particular hackathon, Hack the Vibe, is going to be taking place over 48 hours over the weekend. So what you guys should be prioritizing, number one, is finding a good problem statement that you guys will be able to tackle in 48 hours. The biggest problem that people usually face when participating in a hackathon is that they choose the wrong problem statement or they choose the wrong rabbit hole to go down and they end up building the wrong software over a span of 48 hours. So problem statement, selecting a problem statement is probably the most important part of the hackathon. In order to find out which problem statement you guys should be choosing, number one, find out which problem statement you're most inclined to on an interest basis. Now, how do you exactly do this? You have to break down the problem statement into its constituent parts. Like, for example, what does the problem statement cover? What industries does the problem statement actually belong to? What can you particularly build in this particular problem statement, right? And in order to do this, you guys can use tools like Perplexity. You guys can go ahead and validate your ideas on Reddit. And there's a lot of information online that was not available 2 to 3 years ago that you guys can use very easily to get ideas for your particular problem statement. Would be to go to Reddit, find a domain that you guys are very passionate about. Look for, there are a lot of AMAs that happen with startups or a lot of AMAs that happen with YC founders or VCs. And they talk about problems that they're facing in the industry on a day-to-day basis, right? You guys could go ahead and pick up a problem that's relevant to the problem statement. Then guess what? You might have a very, beneficial or profitable idea by the end of the 2 days of building, right? So this might sound like contradictory advice, but once you guys get your problem statement, you spend an hour or you spend an hour and a half looking for the right problem to build. I want you guys to go ahead and start building the back end of it, right? However, I just don't want you guys to, just pick up AI tools like Cursor or Bolt and start, hacking away stuff. It would always be great to have, a sit down with your team, understand the audience that you're building for, come up with a list of people that are going to be using your application. And then after that, you can start building. The more information that you guys have with yourself, the easier it is to prompt your AI tools to build the application easier, right? So always make sure that your backend is built first before the front end, because the front end is something that's relatively unimportant in the long scale of things as long as the basic functionality of the application is there. right? I've seen a lot of people go for big, fancy landing pages, a lot of bells and whistles in their UI. But as a matter of fact, most of the hackathons I've won with a simple HTML page or a Streamlit website, right? So UI doesn't really matter here. Make sure you guys are coming in with the best functionality, the ease of use, and the ease of quality of your particular applications, right? So apart from that, what else can I really tell you? Always make sure to focus, at least when you're submitting your application or building your demo, make sure you have one hero feature, right? Your most viable product or your MVP must have one hero feature that will completely blow the judges away. So I'm going to be looking for those hero features, particularly when judging in the projects that you guys are sending in. So I'll be taking a look at. I'm going to be searching for these hero features, and whichever one is going to be solving a real industry problem, I'd most probably give more props to them. All right. So these are my 3 to 4 pointers that I can give to you guys right out of the gate. You guys do have me for quite some time, so I'd be more than happy to open the floor now. You guys can go ahead, unmute yourself. I'd be really happy if you guys could open up your videos as well. It will be like a real conversation rather than me speaking to a bunch of black boxes over here. So yeah, the floor is open. Why don't you guys go ahead? You can unmute yourself and ask questions.
So Nikhil, I think like some of them are asking questions in the chat box. I encourage all of you guys to unmute and speak as much as possible so we could make this more interactive and a fun session for each one of us.
Okay, so do we have to make it responsive or desktop specific? It depends on what you guys are building. I usually just, you do, like I said, you don't really have to worry about the UI that much. Just focus on one device and build it for that. How do you proceed in a hackathon when you have very less or no knowledge about technology like ML? All right, so here's the good thing. If you don't have good background knowledge about a particular technology, it will be very difficult for you to actually explore, integrate, ideate, and build a particular software around that particular technology. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's definitely a lot more difficult. So what I would suggest rather is finding a technology stack that you are very familiar with and sticking to it. However, let's say for example, if you are building something domain specific and you need to get knowledge about it, I would highly suggest going to GitHub or going to any other repository, looking for a product that is similar to your own product or similar to your own idea, and probably using something like Cursor or Bolt or Windsurf to analyze the project and figure out how they are implementing the ML. I'm not saying copy them directly, but this will give you a little bit of insight about how the particular, technology in that domain is being used rather than just walking into it blind. And once you get a couple of insights from that particular reverse engineering process, you can go and ask ChatGPT to give you a couple of ideas and you can go ahead and build it yourself. If you don't want to do that, right? Maybe you could just go ahead, use something like Perplexity to get a quick primer about that particular topic, and then you can go ahead and continue. For projects, we can build anything, right? So can I make something develop? Yeah, sure. Just make sure you have your target audience figured out so that when you're pitching your idea to the judges or when you're sending in the demo video, it becomes relatively clear who you're building the particular product for, right? So I can see there are over 56 of you here. Even if you ignore the organizers, the 6 organizers here, there are more than 50 of you. And I'm assuming it's for most of you, this is probably your first or your second hackathon. So any of you guys have any questions? When I build stuff, I always think I am the audience. So that's a very good POV to keep, Aryan. Actually, always put yourself in your consumer or your user's shoes so that you can find out how to build, the application from a user perspective. It's actually a very powerful way of, building apps. I'm very surprised. I think all of you have participated in quite a few hackathons. If you guys don't have any questions, the floor is open, guys. If you guys have anything that you would want to discuss or anything you'd want to ask, we are available. We'd be more than happy to take your questions. Can you share one of your hero product that you mentioned when you were winning hackathon? Sure. So back then, 2 years ago, I was actually participating in a hackathon for Microsoft, right? So back then LLMs and ChatGPT was very new. So everybody was using it to build text interfaces and chatbots and NLP systems, right? RAG systems were actually very they were very popular. They were upcoming, but I didn't want to really build a RAG system. So what I had done was I had taken the ChatGPT API. Back then, we got $25 of free credit, so it was pretty good to us. And I had went ahead and I built a UI graph generator. So nowadays, you guys probably know this. It's common knowledge that you can generate graphs using Excalidraw or using something like what do you call it, Mermaid.js. But back then it was very rare. It was a new and upcoming technology. So what I had done was I had taken the ChatGPT API and had prompted it. I had integrated it in a way that you could give an input for a particular subject or for a particular topic, and it would actually generate a flow chart, a step-by-step study plan for that particular topic. Now, back then, this was a really big deal because nobody had built technology that looked like this. Nowadays, it's pre-baked into pretty much all of the major LLMs. But yeah, that is probably my favorite example of a hero product or a hero tag or a hero feature that you could show in your projects. How do I know which direction of problem solving or innovation is right? You can validate your ideas on Reddit. I think that's probably the quickest way. Most of the ideas that you guys will have at this stage are probably ideas that somebody else has already had, right? So you can just go ahead, go to Reddit and ask, use Reddit answers or go to particular subreddit, search for the particular topic that you're building on, and you'll be able to validate your idea pretty quickly, right? My first one hackathon, and I don't know much about hackathons. That's why I have no questions. I didn't. You're the only one asking questions here, buddy. Baapre. So, how to do the integration part efficiently when working as a team, especially in hackathons? So, this is actually a pretty dangerous topic to touch upon, right? So, usually integration is one of the toughest parts of a hackathon, especially when you're working with big teams. If you're working with one or two people, it's relatively easy. The communication is fast. But when you're working with 3 to 4 people, it becomes significantly difficult. So what I would highly suggest is that's why I said sit down with your team and create a document or an architecture diagram and make sure each and every single person has a list of responsibilities that they can actually, work on solid, right? Make sure that all the individual features are built and each of those features can be called using an API or on the backend, and then leave the last maybe 6 to 7 hours for integration, right? So once you have your primary features built on the backend, you can one by one start integrating them together, right? Usually, the easiest way to do this is have only one guy or girl working on the back end, and you have multiple features, multiple other people working on smaller features, right? Let's say, for example, I was building an ML pipeline, right? I would have one guy working on the front end, I'd have one guy working on the back end, and one guy working on the ML part, right? So the ML has nothing to do with the actual back end. You just have to generate the model. So the backend person can just put a placeholder, or they can put an API call to that particular model, which will be replaced once the model is ready. And then the front end guys can create a JSON structure or a boilerplate template for the API calls, which the backend developer can implement, right? So if you guys know the system that you're building and you're very clear with it, then these problems don't arise usually because everybody knows what to build, how to build it, how the entire system communicates. But if you guys don't actually sit down and put together these parts and plan these parts individually, you guys will have a very hard time putting them together. Okay, so hope that answers the question. So from I, some hackathons have the first round of PPT or abstract. Most of my efforts end there and do not even reach the stage of development. What are the measures I should take while dealing with the stage? Guys, do we have a PPT round for this? I don't think we have a PPT round, right? You guys will be sending us live demos?
Yes, yes. No, no, we don't have. Yeah, we don't have any PPT round. Everyone has to submit their live projects
Demo video.
and a live project and a demo video.
And a short description about the project. Yeah.
So cool. I mean, even in that case, right? If you guys are building a PPT, I would actually suggest you guys follow this format. Number one, what is the product solving? Number one, the problem statement has to be very clear. What are you solving? Who are you solving it for? Okay. Who are you solving it for? And then how is it solving the problem? Right. So if you guys can highlight these three metrics in your particular presentation, it's going to give you a huge boost with the judges, because those are the three main factors that we actually care about the most. You guys can add like how you're doing it differently, like your differentiators. If you can add it in the PPT as well, that would be great. I don't think more than these three things we really care about anything in the PPT, because we know you guys haven't built the product yet. But because this is in this particular hackathon, we don't really have a PPT round. You can go ahead and just build the best product ever. What if my projects is a mix of all problems? Is that okay? I would not suggest you do that. I would suggest you guys focus on one problem and focus on completely, hitting a sixer with that problem statement. I've tried this out. I've been very ambitious and tried to incorporate all the problem statements into one product. Most of the times it doesn't work because all the problem statements have different ICPs, they have different user bases, they have different problems altogether, right? So it's very difficult to integrate it, and I'm not sure if it's viable to do in 48 hours. I've tried it, it's failed. I wouldn't suggest it, but if you're up for a challenge and want to try it out, then knock yourselves out, man. What to do if we have very limited knowledge of backend, as it is difficult to figure out backend of a functional MVP? The backend is actually the quickest thing you can do, Vedant. It's the front end that usually takes a lot of time, because the design, the UI, the UX is usually a huge headache to figure out. Backend is pretty simple. If you don't understand, like if you don't know the actual coding aspect, just come up with a list of features that you want to implement in the backend and use Cursor or Windsurf, or you can use Lovable and Bolt also. They'll code it up for you. Backend is actually one of the easier things. You don't have to worry about security or validation checks. As long as the backend is functional, it should be fine. So Pranav is asking how to pitch the idea efficiently. Follow the same three tips that I gave you guys. Number one, what is the problem? Who has the problem? How are you guys solving the problem? Right? These three things are the most important things that you have to provide in the pitch. I have seen a lot of people. This is the main drawback with a lot of people in their pitches. They focus too much on the technical aspect. If you are a judge in a hackathon, right, we usually don't mind too much about the technical aspects. We usually mind more about the a surrounding ecosystem that you guys build around the product, right? We care more about how the technology is implemented, what problems you guys are solving, how efficiently you guys are solving them, right? So don't focus too much on the tech when you're giving a pitch. Make sure you focus on the problem, how you're solving the problem, and your hero features that are solving the problem better than everybody else. So number one, outline of the problem, how you're solving it better than everybody else, right? So these 3 points should be in your pitch. Everything else is kind of, extra, if you guys can add. Uh, these things can go hand in hand. I mean, sure, man, if you can get these things hand in hand, I'm pretty sure you guys can do it. So a productivity tool that's a SaaS is pretty cool, but I'm not exactly sure how you would add social good to it. But, again, you guys have 48 hours. You can probably knock something, you can put something up together very quickly. So who's next, guys? Do you have any other questions? Can you explain how is your journey on winning the SIH, and how do you get the instinct that this project can win? So there is no particular instinct that the project will win, right? You just have to keep trying it out and eventually things will work, right? So basically, you instinctively, there is no way to tell if your project is going to work or not, right? That's why we have market research and validations, right? So find a problem that you personally feel passionate about, find a domain that you personally feel passionate about, and try to solve a problem there, right? A project working or not working is dependent on how people usually pick it up, how effectively it solves a problem for them. But you can't instinctively actually say if this project might win a hackathon or not. It depends on a lot of factors. The only thing that you can bet on is your passion towards the particular domain and how well you can execute the idea that you have. So rather than worrying about whether this idea is going to work or not, just focus on trying to make the idea as functional as possible. Try to make it solve the problem as best as possible. Whether it actually is picked up by people later or not is secondary, at least for this particular hackathon. If you want to talk about product market fit, you want to talk about growth, if you want to talk about getting people to actually use your product, that's a completely different ball game, right? But instinctively, it's very difficult to say if it's going to work. You probably have to validate it. But as long as you have the passion, I can for sure say you can build something very well. After completing the project, where to submit it? Okay, I guess the club can help you guys there. I mean, guys, go to Reddit, ask questions. I how to find the problem statement accurately. Like, just think about day-to-day events that you guys face, right? Like, for example, something as simple as tying your shoe can end up becoming a huge product that you guys can build in the future. Like, self-tying shoes is a thing now, right? So if you guys have any problems that you feel passionate about, try to use that. If you don't have any problems that you feel passionate about, steal other people's problems, right? If you go online, if you go to Instagram, Twitter, you go to Reddit, every single person has like 100 problems that they keep on complaining about every single day. Just find a problem that you think you can build a solution for in 48 hours, copy it and build it. It's that easy, right? People, there is no girth of problems out there. Everybody has problems. Just find a problem that you guys feel passionate about solving. Okay, so unfortunately, most of my winning projects are under NDA. Most of them are being developed by the companies that organize the hackathon, so I can't actually share them with you. But if you would want me to like talk to you about any particular ideas you have, or if you would want to hear about any projects that I've implemented, I'd be more than happy to share them here. Hope that answers the question.
Nikhil, I have a question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So even we participate in hackathons, and
Mm-hmm.
I always wonder, like, what is that one X factor thing which makes a differentiation between a winning project and a like non-winning project. So there must be something like.
Yeah, sure. I mean, see, X factors vary and depend very, like, they're very tightly coupled to the actual problem that you're solving, right? So let me give you a couple of examples, then maybe you guys will get a better idea, right? So let's say, for example, number one, very recently, I believe 2 weeks ago, I was participating in a hackathon for a recruitment agency, and they wanted us to create an AI recruitment agency portal, right? So all of these people were going ahead and they're building these very fancy resume building applications, right? Like you gave the resume to an AI and it would give you a score of how good the candidate was. Like 90% of the people were actually doing that. But there was like 2 to 3 teams that were able to think outside the box and they say, hey, they want us to create a recruitment agency. And usually recruitment is a lot more about talking to the candidate rather than getting a resume and analyzing the resume and getting a score based on that. So what these 2, 3 teams did was they actually incorporated a voice to voice agent inside their mobile phone, right? So you could actually talk to the agent, and based on the conversation, the agent would actually give you a score on how well the applicant or the recruiter had gone ahead and created the uh, you know gone ahead and actually given the interview. So this was actually a very big X factor because it completely changed the modality and it completely changed the platform on which these things were being built. So it went from being a textual platform to now becoming a voice to voice platform, right? And that huge distribution change was also very significant because it's very easy to actually just have somebody give a call to an AI voice agent rather than have somebody log into a website, send their resume, and wait for an email confirmation for an analysis, right? So I would say the X factor or that hero feature that you're looking for is a way to make the particular solution easier to adopt, right? So let's say distribution. If it's easy, if your solution is easier to distribute than a couple of other solutions on the market, then obviously that would be an X factor. Or if it's easier to use, if your particular solution is cheaper, or if it's very easy to use, or a layman can actually pick it up and use it. Like it's very difficult for somebody to make a good resume, but it's very easy for somebody to just call an AI agent and give them, interview on the phone, right? So that's one of the biggest contrasting examples that I can show you, right? That I can tell you. The biggest way to actually find an X factor, like I said, there are so many people that have problems out there. Go ahead, find those problems, find solutions, like find people that try to build solutions for those problems, and don't do what they did. Do the exact opposite of what they did, right? So in my example, everybody was building resume analyzers, right? Don't build a resume analyzer, remove the resume completely, right? Uh, the best way I would say would be to take a step back and look at it from a user's perspective. I think one of our candidates here had also mentioned that. Take a step back, look at it from the user's perspective, correct? and make sure that you are in the user's shoes when coming up with a solution, right? It doesn't have to be a very complicated solution. It can be a very simple one, all right? X factors are not dependent on how complicated they are to code. It's completely dependent on how effectively they solve the user's problem. I hope that answers your question, guys.
Guys, you can you can unmute your mic, and even you can unmute your videos. You have the permission, and you can ask the question directly. And let's make this more responsive uh, and more interactive.
Yeah, it's fine, guys. I mean, if I don't think I'm very good looking. If I can go ahead, turn on my camera, and speak with you guys without worrying, I don't think you guys should have an. I don't think you guys will have any issue with it either. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd be very happy if you guys could go ahead, turn on your cameras, unmute yourselves. We can have a talk, conversation. It'll be very fun. Because since then, I've been talking to a bunch of black screens. I don't even know who's sending in the questions. Okay, so could you share insights into one of your best projects, specifically the idea behind it, how you built it, and what you learned from the project? Okay, so one of the best projects that I personally built, right? It didn't actually win a hackathon, but it's still one of my proudest projects. We had built a real-time sign language to NLP translator. So it was a mobile application. Basically, you could open up the mobile app, you could use your camera, and while somebody was signing, on ASL or ISL, it would accurately convert that language into words that you could read. So it was an accessibility tool to help bridge the gap between people who couldn't speak and people who couldn't actually understand ASL. And it was actually a very complicated project because we had to implement real time rendering. We had to implement computer vision models that worked in real time. And it was definitely one of my favorite projects, basically because it was actually solving a real life problem. And a couple of people actually reached out to us and said, hey, we want to implement this as well. Unfortunately, we were never able to accurately implement it, but because there were a bunch of compliance issues when implementing it, obviously. But we were pretty happy that people were interested in the solution. So how did we build it particularly? Well,
Yeah.
okay. So basically,
We, I had a little doubt. Like, can I send any project I made in the chat right now? I had a doubt related to a project I made, and that could give me more insight on how to do a hackathon. Like, this is the project I made. Just let me get the link real quick.
I'm sorry, Aryan, but your voice is breaking down badly. Okay, so Aryan is going to share something with us, I believe. We can take a look at that when he sends it over. So coming back to Venisha's question, right? So what we had basically learned, we built a lot of cool stuff. One of the most important lessons I took away from it was actually how to implement machine learning models in real time, right, into an actual workflow. So I did learn a bit of MLOps there. It was not an easy process, but I did definitely learn a lot from it. How we built it, we had four people. Two people took care of the front end, one person took care of the back end integration, and one person, which was me particularly, I took care of the machine learning part. So we did come together. We built it all. We built it over a span of 24 hours. So it wasn't the most technologically profound thing, but yeah, it kind of taught me a lot about how to build accessibility tools in real time. Hope that answers your question.
I sent the link.
Yeah, sure. I can take a look. What you want me to do with this, Aryan? You want me to,
Like,
you want,
I wanted to know if I can make something like this only, like for data analysis only. But in our SaaS application, like in SaaS application, we will give it, and it will give our applications like it will do a benchmark test of your application, and then give feedback on how good your application is for the user.
I
Like,
mean, try it out, man. Try it out, build it out. One particular suggestion I would give you guys, don't give away your ideas, especially on a meeting where all the competitors are there, right? I'd be more than happy to connect with you guys later, or you guys can DM me the questions, or if you have any ideas in the chat here. But one suggestion, please do not give away your ideas here, because hackathons may it's very easy for people to snatch away your ideas and features, right? It's not because I distrust people, but that's just how these competitions work. All right. So general rule of thumb, don't share your answers out before the hackathon is over. Mhm. So Aryan, this is a cool project. It's a cool idea. Maybe you can implement something like this in the finale as well. So try it out. If you think it's something that's worth building, just nothing goes wrong in trying to build it out, right? Worst case scenario, you build something that's going to go into your resume. Best case scenario, you guys win, right? Yeah. So anybody else? Anybody else? I'm actually a bit surprised. I was expecting a whole bunch of different questions. Hmm. Okay, I mean, like, if none of you guys have any other questions left, I think we can close the session. What do you guys think?
One last question.
Yeah,
As
hi
a
Rishi.
newbie, like, what all things we should keep in mind to like participate in a hackathon for the first try?
Focus on solving a problem. I mean, that's the best advice. Don't worry too much about the tech. It doesn't matter what tech you use. It doesn't matter how fancy the UI of the page looks. Just make sure you build something that can solve the problem accurately. Like, let's say, for example, the easiest way to build something that solves a problem. Just let's say, for example, you have to build a productivity tool or a Pomodoro app, right? Just go ahead, instead of bashing your head building a UI, just go ahead and say, okay, I'll build a Chrome extension. 10 minute ka kaam hai. I'll build a Chrome extension, import it into Google Chrome Store, put it as an extension, and have people use it, right? So think of ways to solve the problem. Think of unique ways to solve the problem, right? That's the rule of thumb for hackathons. The better you can solve the problem, the more credits you're going to get. That's all.
And also they say like in hackathon making connection is the best part. Like so, but like how can we make connections with strong
I
connections?
I mean, unfortunately, this is an online hackathon, right? So that's probably the worst part of online hackathons. The connectivity, the networking isn't as good as an offline one. But the Tech Horizons Club has a very good Discord server. I'm pretty sure you guys will meet a lot of incredible people. You guys can just go ahead, you can drop by in, and you guys can meet all of us, network, or else, I think over the next 24 to 48 hours, you guys will be communicating with each other very closely, because that is the nature of a hackathon. So maybe you guys can exchange LinkedIn or Twitter profiles, and you guys can meet that way too. Yeah.
Thank you for the information.
How do you handle the most irritating bug in the backend? Always takes up a lot of time in hackathons. Like, depends on the bug, man. I understand what you mean. Bugs are very, very nasty when dealing with in hackathons. But see, if the bug is like very profound, if you don't even understand where the bug is coming from, just abandon the feature, right? It's not worth spending 2 to 3 hours looking for a bug, and hopefully fixing it. But I mean, honestly speaking, don't vibe code the entire thing. If you're vibe coding, make sure you read all of the code, understand the changes before implementing them. If you could give me an example of a bug, then maybe I could help you out a little bit better, Ashwin. Bug in itself is very vague. So, I mean, number one, use debugging tools. Number two, check your stack trace, add logging, like add a bunch of logging in your backend. Make sure you have log statements for pretty much everything, right? So don't add print statements, add log statements. Log statements are pretty easy to implement. They don't eat up your memory. Print statements do take up your memory. They're not that good. So add logging, add stack traces, make sure you have a lot of verbose outputs whenever you're building your backend APIs. I think that would be the best way to tackle the bugs. Hope that answers the question, guys.
I have I have a question. Like there's a ongoing problem of getting ideas stolen, or somebody else builds on something. I had an idea, but I was a bit late to make that, and someone already built that on it. So what so what are the steps that I can prevent? Like, you know?
But I mean, you can't prevent somebody from stealing your idea, unfortunately, because I spent the last 20 minutes telling you guys to go on Reddit and steal somebody else's idea, right? See, unfortunately speaking, that's the way the world works. If somebody thinks your idea is good, there is a very good chance they will steal it. That's how Facebook was made. That's how it's a multi-billion dollar corporation right now. The only difference that you can accurately say, like let's say for example, this is an example I give to every single person, right? Just because somebody makes apple juice doesn't mean you can't make apple soda, right? Like just because, let's say for example, you own an apple orchard and you want to sell your apples, and you realize your competitor also has an apple orchard and is selling your apples. They can sell the apples wholesale, they can sell their apples at a lower rate. But if you're able to transform your apples and sell it as a cider or as a juice or as a soda, then people will automatically come to you and will, you know, buy your product. So the distribution of your product, the execution of your idea is what matters more than the idea itself, I would say. So don't feel disheartened if somebody is stealing your idea. Just try to execute it better. It's pretty vague advice, I know. It's not just like, oh, just be better, but find ways in which you can distribute and find ways in which you can propagate the idea better than your competitor, so that people will come to you to use your idea rather than them. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so we have another question. How should I prioritize features if I'm short on time? How much are they solved? What percentage of the problem are they solving? Right? Let's say, for example, you have 24 hours and you need to build an application that solves, mm, what kind of a problem can we pick? Let's say, for example, we have a problem to automate Excel sheets, right? You have an Excel sheet like data entry, okay? Let's say, for example, you need to automate data entry. So it would not make much sense for you to spend 10 hours of the 24 hours implementing Google authentication or encryption for your data when your actual problem is data entry, right? So find features that will actually solve your problem a lot faster and focus on those. Varun, I think the judges' names and the information is already on the Dev Post website. You can go ahead and check it out there. Okay, anybody else, guys?
Yes, Aryan, I have sent the problem statements on the Discord as well. And after the workshop, we will be sending it to you, your mail as well. So you can join the Discord because it's live over there. And all the main updates will be first on Discord, and then you'll get the updates via mail. So please make sure to, be on our Discord to get the updates beforehand.
Hey guys, I think nobody else has any questions. So I think we can wrap up the session. All the best for all the people that are going to go ahead and actually build in this hackathon. Make sure you have fun first and foremost. That's the most important part of a hackathon. If you're not having fun, then there's no use of you guys building. So all the best. May your AI not hallucinate. May your prompts always give you proper outputs, and may everything work perfectly while you're building, right? Okay, then. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I'd be more than happy. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing the kind of products you guys build over the weekend, right?
And
Thank you so
yeah,
much,
thank
guys.
you, Nikhil, for such an insightful and such a fun session. I'm sure we all have learned something or the other. And yeah, we thank you for conducting this session. And yeah, have fun judging all these projects which you've given feedback to.
I will. I will definitely, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys around. Bye bye.
Perfect. See you. Bye.